Hey guys, Squad Vermilion here, and we're finally back in it again with some more multi-blow type Lumina action. And yeah, sorry for the little hiatus that I had. I've been busy preparing for finals, been busy with work, and been busy playing Yakuza, I'll be honest, 100%. But no, I had some more content for you guys. So first of all, yeah, the complete guide series is still in the works. Working on 2 episodes, like as I mentioned. Recording the next episode should be up pretty soon, guys, so look forward to that. It's been one that you guys been asking me for, and this is a video I really wanted to make for a long time, and I think it'll be pretty fun. It'll start some discussions, and I hope to bring some info to the table, some knowledge of why a lot of people think that Vlov is a very strong character, and why something is broken, why something is the best. We're gonna go over everything that I think is worth noting. Alright, so if you like this type of content, more of an analytical breakdown of characters, please let me know. Please leave a like, do the usual. You guys know we're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're cutting it really close, so if we manage to do it, that'll be really impressive. So thank you again for all the support, and let's get started with this video. So the first thing I think is important to note is Vlov is actually kind of tanky for a zoner. He has pretty good health values, and the other thing is that because of how the game works, Type Lumina is a game where damage is averaged out pretty much across the board. There are some characters that do a little bit more, some characters do a little bit less, but the numbers are pretty standard, which means that they standardize Vlov's damage to be similar to most, and sometimes it's even more than what other characters get of any hit that he gets, which means that his regular damage full screen is pretty freaking high compared to pretty much every other zoner in this game. Mind you, this combo is super easy to do, breaks 4K, and is something that you always gotta check out. You always have to be aware of the flame carpet. Especially in ice mode, but we'll cover that more later. That is pretty much one of the main reasons why this character is broken busted. But yeah, one of the main things I want to say is for this type of archetype, for this type of character, he does do a lot of damage where he's supposed to. Another thing I want to mention straight about Vlov itself, and not about the universal mechanics or the average out of damage or anything. He himself has really amazing buttons. Outside of his A buttons, which are obviously slow, this button, 2B, a beast. Anti-airs, really good reach, really good. 5B, another really good anti-air. Really fast, look at it, really fast. 5C, huge hitbox. Huge hitbox. And 2C, probably, it's okay, it's, it's not this. But his buttons are really good, especially the air buttons. JB, this is a top tier button in my opinion. This J is pretty useful, pretty fast for what it is. And the JC, good for air to ground situations, obviously. Like, look at that, right? Like, you can fall in from so high up, and yep, it's really good. So his base toolkit, without counting his special moves, which we of course we're gonna cover them later, they're really good. So he is pretty solid. So this is something I never hear anyone discuss when we talk about Vlov, and is one of the reasons that I think this character is dummy, and is his pressure. He has, in my opinion, the safest pressure in this game next to Arcade, but that is her niche, right? It's supposed to be what she's good at. Vlov is the zoner. So zoner has good health, good damage, and good pressure. So he's checking a lot of boxes here. You may think I'm coping. Let's go over it, alright? First of all, his rebeat pressure lives in a very safe range, where it's not the end of his turn, mind you, because he can always check, right? Like, he can always 2-2A, he can always chuck in a big button, can always even move back to, if, let's say, Tono wants to, like, lariat or something. Vlov doesn't need to commit because he can zone, right? Like, he doesn't need to rush down. So he puts you in a very uncomfortable position where whatever move you do can be used against you. There's no end of turn with Bluff in that regard. So pretty strong rebeats. The other thing, you can't really jump because he can always check you with this and guard break you. There's always an option with Bluff. Other thing, and I think it's the big issue, this special needs to go away. This move needs to disappear. The Rekkas, look at this. Moves you forward, pushes you back, safe as hell. So the best sweep in the game can't even contest. Can stagger. And has access to stagger, strike, or throw. And the strike can be used, can be special cancelled, EX cancelled for plus frames and safety. And yeah, if you get hit by this, you will lose your health. So this character's offense is super solid, just with those tools alone. But wait, there is more. There is the 5C to beat Crouch Shield and 6C to beat Crouch Shield. Two very good tools. And the one of the things that's very annoying about Bluff is that you can't really autopilot. Like, let's say if you see a gap and you see a gap in the pressure and you know that he's gonna come with like a charge move or something like that, you can preemptively stand shield because he has 2-2B. 2-2B is a low that is also staggered, right? So you can't really just autopilot at all versus Bluff. You have to be very, very aware of the state of the game, of what his resources are, and everything. And this is in Fire specifically. This move is ridiculous how good it is. So it's pretty safe versus all the shield follow-ups, and is super plus, right? I don't know my bombos. Sorry, I don't know my Vlov bombos. You gotta ask Masoma for those ones. he's next door. He's on the recommended videos, I think. But yeah, so super solid all around offense, right? Like he can be super safe for throws. Also, he can do whatever he wants. Like there's no risk involved with Bluff offense. So that's why I think it's really good. Another thing, and just to wrap up this point, after his air throw ender, his safe jump is one of the few safe jumps in this game who beats all the shield follow-ups. Yep, he safe jumps versus BC too. And you can go and try with other characters that get this type of safe jump. They will lose to this, but not Bluff, because, when he needs it. So, you can't really shield that. Like, yeah, you get out of the corner, but it's still Bluff's turn, per se. You can, he doesn't really care if he's full screen. He doesn't care because he is his owner. Like, so when are you winning? Well, let's see. Next point I'm going to cover is another big deal. And we kind of covered it here. His Moonskills. Bluff has the best Moonskills in the game. And let's go over them. So like I was saying before, Bluff has the best Moonskills in this game. And they're all useful. So 6BC, like we said, super safe. Super fast recovery wise. Can just throw stuff on the screen. Same with 6BC on the air, which you can jump cancel, which is crazy. Then we have the best Moonskill of all time. And I'll prove my point here in just a second. Let's just show you the 2BC. This is how much 2BC pushes you back, right? So what happens when the opponent tries to jump vertically? You know guys all what vertical is, yeah? Look at vertical. Look at the other Bluff. That's vertical jump, by the way. Yes, the pushback of 2BC is too much that it affects the physics after you block it. Look at the forward jump, by the way. Good job, man. You're gonna reach me back. So 2BC pushes them away. They have to zone. They have to get in on a zoner all over again. And yeah, that is ridiculous. Ridiculous how it works right now. That needs to be like addressed immediately. And of course, we have the infamous 4BC, which can be used for guard breaks. It is really fast. And now the closer you are, the faster it triggers, right? I think. Yeah, it's like ridiculous. So all the Moonskills have very good places to use. And yeah, that is so good for his toolkit. It is all useful. So Vlov uses resources really well because you want to use your Moonskills, and the Moonskills gives you meter, and the meter gives you Moonskills, and it gives you damage, and it gives you everything else, right? Vlov is very meter intensive. That is the one thing that I would say anytime, right? With Vlov, you do need to use your resources really well, because if you run out of money, then yes, it is, the party is kind of like sad, right? But without that, you know, if you're able to control your resource management, if you're able to always have money in the bank and use it wisely, boom, it's magic. Now, we only covered the fire settings. So this is the version of Vlov that universally everyone thinks has flaws. Right? Like, it's like, yeah, the projectiles are pretty slow. The angles are like pretty telegraphed. You know, this has a dead zone, you know, right over here. So, pretty good. Yeah, this is a well-made zoner. Now, what happens when we lose the round? So when Vlov loses a round, he goes from your friendly neighbor mid-tier character to the best character uncontested in the game. So he gets access, of course he gets access to, you know, we all know he gets access to the ice moves, and especially the 2-2 gets really broken. But what I want to point out first of all, 6 BC. I want you to pay attention here real quick on the chip damage. I'm gonna take the auto recovery. That much chip does that, like, immediately, instantly, full screen, pew, full of the hell, baby. Second of all, look at the chip damage these 2-2s are doing. And if you get hit, look at that. Yeah, you only took 1.6 of one random stomp, but realistically, you lost a lot of health. This is all the health you've lost so far, just by blocking. And the thing about it is that, Scrod, just shield, you noob. I thought you were good at this game. Yes and no. Okay, so what happens when you shield full screen? Okay? All good, whatever. You can use a follow-up because none of the follow-ups are going to help you here. What happens when you, like, attempt to shield things like this, or is it just shield, for example, shield this one, right? You didn't do anything and now I'm in front of you because it is super plus for me. So you can't be shielding everything, otherwise things like this happen. Strategic shielding is important, so that's when the mental stack starts adding up. So that's just for ice mode, right? Like, it's just a lot of chip damage, a lot of quick decisions with shields, and a mistake cuts you big because the damage gets super high for nothing, really. It's really ridiculous how much damage this character can put. Like, again, I'm not a Vlov player, I don't know the optimals, I can just do like basic stomps. Again, this does 4K, this is like really dummy, but anything, dude. Like, anything that you land, let me land this combo. Like, anything you land is gonna be big damage. It's just the way it's gonna be, right? So this goes back again with what we were saying. His damage is gonna be averaged out, but Ice Vlov does even more damage than the average. So that's why it feels disgusting. On top of the chip damage that he's already doing to you, he feels like he does even more damage. I think that there's, you know, like there's one of these things that needs to be handled different. I think that the chip damage idea is fine. I don't know about Vlov's damage output itself being so high, given how much he chips people. So I think maybe balancing some of that might help it feel less overwhelming. But Ice Mode is when it starts getting ridiculous because, first of all, things like this Icicle don't really have like a dead angle anymore. This move, look at, okay, so like, let's just make our little friend Vlov here throw this projectile. Like, yeah, look at, I need a really good button to beat that, right? So if I get too close, I get hit by what, the anti-air Icicle. That's messed up. Same with this. This projectile doesn't have an actual dead angle. Like, you think you might be able to jump over it, but that's not how that plays out actually. Let's see if we can replicate it here for that. Look at that. Like, you have to be really, really on top of it. And this is gonna cover, this is gonna cover one part. Like, this is gonna cover one part that I think it's pretty important, and it's gonna go under the #1 issue with Vlov, and the reason he's always gonna be top tier in this game. So that is, he has too many tries. He gets too many chances. So what does he gets too many chances mean? Well, it means a lot of things. First of all, he has a lot of health, so he can get hit and thrown multiple times. But the big one, missing a projectile doesn't mean you're safe. And that is like one of the things in fighting games that's pretty much always been pretty much universally the case. Like, when a zoner misses a projectile, they get open, they have like a dead angle or something. That's how you get in. That's how you punish them. That's not the case with Vlov. If you try to like jump over this is not the end for me. Assuming you have meter, you can always throw this for safety. You can moon drive projectiles on whiff. You can do whatever. So what I'm trying to say is that you don't really need to commit to your projectiles. This is not a risk. Throwing this and saying, oh, but screw it, you can jump over that doesn't mean anything in the context, right? Like he can always do whatever. Like, oh, he saw me jump over that? What is he gonna do about that? He can even punish me for that, right? He can do whatever. So it's like, I think that's kind of messed up, that he gets so many chances. Of course, Moondrive is a big commitment. Of course, as long as he has meter, he can do it. But he's so good at generating meter, and he's so good at getting Moondrive back, because at the end of his normal BMB, he actually gets to charge, right? Like, yeah, you're gonna spend a meter here. You're gonna charge back. Oh, I just charged my meter back before they teched out. I made the bar back that I used on my combo to do a lot of damage. You know what I'm saying? You start to understand what I'm saying? And of course, charging up gives you more moon stages. It lets me cycle through it, right? So it's just a machine that's very well built for the system. So, like I'm saying, system lets Vlov get away with a lot of things. So it lets him zone away without much hesitation, right? Like, oh, if you get shielded by this, I whiff cancel into that. If you go under it, I can just do this and go for shield RPS. If I don't want to go for shield RPS, I can always moon drive, etc, etc. So, with how safe he is, with how little commitment he is, and like I was saying earlier, how difficult it is to navigate this hell, a lot of people can't understand why everyone, like at least in North America, everyone thinks Vlov is so strong. Is because you can pick him up and do really well with him, because realistically, the margin of error is pretty big. Like, you can continue to fail over and over, and like, oh, I missed a projectile, I make myself safe. I missed a projectile, I'm just gonna do this. I missed this, I'm just gonna do that. There's always a way to back yourself up, as long as you know how to like work the basic mechanics of the game. So yeah, that's one of the things that is really strong, and that's gonna lead him to maybe the last point on this video, and I like to call it fumble proofness, which is kind of what we'll be covering. But pretty much, once you get the hit on Vlov, did you win? Well, not in type Lumina, right? So let's go over that. So one thing Melty Blood has going for itself, right, is the amount of defensive mechanics. I think there is a quote by Kamone that said that he wanted blocking to be the last resort, which is pretty controversial, and I have my own thoughts on that. But what I'm trying to say is the game allows you to pretty much run a very good RPS cycle of defense in the form of Wake Up Moondrive, which in the case of Vlov is actually a huge commitment, as we said it earlier, just because of how much value he gets by using it in neutral, by having heat and the charge heat, by having shield, and of course by having a good backdash. One of the biggest backdash in the game, actually. So Vlov's defense is actually really good. And that is another thing about zoners. When you're a hard zoner and you don't have a DP, you usually think, oh, your defense is whatever. Once they get in, you explode, yada yada. That is not the case in this game, right? So Does Bluff have a fail state? I don't think so, and I think that's something that you have to think when you make a zoner like this is think of your Lambda 11s, your Moon 13s from Blaze Blue. They missed a projectile and it's a huge deal for them, right? Like they need to fight their way out of the corner with, you know, like not the best options outside of, you know, overdrive or burst, which are huge commitments. Bluff, he has commitments that are like managed to meter, but because how easy it is to get meter, because how easy it is to get moon gauge, and because how strong shield is, I don't think it matters in the context of the game, right? Like he doesn't have it, he has it as bad as other characters is kind of how I want to say it. So putting him in the corner is not game over. In fact, if he manages to get a heat, he might be the best character on post-heat situations. He's the only character outside of Roa who can force his turn after heating. By that I mean, you kind of have to respect him, there's no going back to neutral. It's his turn. And that's huge, because heating as Bluff, as I said earlier, means a lot, right? Because he has a big health, so he's gonna recover a lot of effective health. So his effective life bar is way bigger than what it is. So, like I'm saying, the system works in his favor. He just works well with what the game has, both offensively, defensively, in neutral, in offense, in everything, right? So, what I'm saying is, I don't think there's a easy way of nerfing Bluff. I think he is meant to be strong. I would be curious to see what they're gonna do with it, right? So, those are my main points. I think just Bluff as a character, he's just very, very well-rounded, which, you know, in itself, it's questionable design for Zoner, yada yada, you know, like, you know how I feel about the character. But can you do much about it right now? I think the best way would be reduce his damage so that the chip damage is the equalizer to average out. Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to say is, take the chip damage into account for his overall damage, because he's not going to open you up right away. You're going to have to block some projectiles, right? There's going to be like some back and forth before he gets a solid hit. But make it so that once he gets the hit, the damage he's doing is similar to other characters, not more. Because I think there has to be something about him that is a little weaker, because he covers everything about the game so well. Something I didn't even cover here just because of my inability to do it as a non-ball player is that he has really good setups after his throws and his combos. So he has everything. He has good mix-up, he has safe pressure, he has high damage, the best neutral in the game, amazing Moonskills, very, very safe in neutral. You can't, like, making mistakes is not a big deal. Can run the defensive game of type Lumina like any other character. So, bottom line, I think Bluff is candidate to be very strong. I don't think broken though, but very, very, very solid. Definitely one of those characters to look out for. And there's a reason that many other regions, like especially Japan, don't think highly of him. After talking with players like Ying, for example, the EVO champion, he did say that he just doesn't like the fact that you need to lose a round to become the best character in the game. So he acknowledges the strengths of Ice Bluff, but he said that the fact that you can only lose one round as Ice Bluff makes him a little bit inconsistent, which is a fair argument in my opinion. Hey guys, just a little post-production here. One of the arguments I could have said here is that what happens is, yes, you're a little bit weaker on fire mode, but if you win a round on fire mode, does it really matter? I think the Vlov gets a really big advantage actually if he wins the first round. So it actually does put a lot of pressure in rounds, right? So I get the argument that the Japanese community has, but at the same time, you could also put it into perspective of, okay, if you win the round in fire mode and then you lose a round, you're the superpower boss, right? And they can't really mess up. So that's all I wanted to add up, right? Enjoy the ending. So that might be the one thing, right? It's like, you can play the first round versus the Fire Bluff, which, yeah, he's not the best character in the game. He has really good, you know, like, he has dead spot, like, dead angles he can cover, things of that nature. But once you lose, you get the super broken top tier, right? So, Is that the way to balance it? Maybe that, you know, they took that into account. So I don't know how you guys think about it, but these are just the points that I think are important on why I think Vlov is very strong. So yeah, that's just gonna do it for this video. If you like it, you know, hit it with a big like. I want to see what you guys think about Vlov. I know there's been a lot of controversy lately with, you know, Vlov everywhere, irrespective for the patch. What do you guys think? Right? I'll leave the question open, and I hope to hear good things in the comment section. So, this has been Strad Vermillion, and I'll see you all in the next one.